Hello, all humans and beyond. My name's Ash. Today, I'm gonna call it the technical second video in the D&D series. I know there's one that's basically a revamp, so anyways. Today, we're gonna be talking about characters. Main focus being your character. It's the second time I'm recording this, so let's see if it goes a little bit better. I'm trying to see if there's a difference between morning time sleepy and nighttime sleepy. I feel like there is, because after you get off of work, you're even more drained than you normally are. When you wake up in the morning, you're just kind of like, coffee. Give me coffee. Nighttime, I'm just like, collapse into a pile of pudding. I actually had to make notes. So, just like D&D, for those who haven't played, what you start with is your character sheet, your character creation sheet. Before you even talk about the game, that's the first thing, is you have to sit down, plug in all the numbers, do all the math. And I've got some pretty esoteric beliefs. I know I'm not the only one. But, just like how we, as the player, gets to pick our character in D&D, our consciousness, who we really are, gets to pick the character. So let's say, for instance, we're going off the belief that, again, you have a spirit, you have a soul, you have consciousness, your awareness, the you. People so identify with the 3D body that we think that's us. But if you were raised in religion or have any kind of spiritual belief, people believe there is a soul that transcends beyond the body. So, without sounding too crazy, I am both this vessel and not. You get it if you get it. So while our 5D, 6D consciousness is flown up above there, it's deciding which character to pick. Now there's actually a Netflix, I believe it's on Netflix, a Netflix cartoon called Midnight Gospel that kind of plays off this. It's a young adult, without spoiling it too much, it's a young adult who visits different planets to learn and explore. But what he does is, from his space station, he actually picks and sorts out a character. He goes, okay, I'm gonna go to this world and we'll load up this avatar. And he goes through this canon, digital canon. It's been a while since I've seen the show. I believe it's some form of a canon. And he loads up and gets digitized and transfers bodies, or his body becomes whatever. I don't remember, but... And then he goes and visits this planet in this avatar. However, he still remembers who he is. The downside to our story is we don't. So go back to the topic. Our 5D consciousness is sitting up here like, okay, what do I want to experience today? I already feel like the message is kind of heavy, so I'm trying to make it a little lighter. You're kind of like your character, your person sitting at the table. What do I want to do? Do I want to play barbarian? Do I want to be a wizard? Do I want to play a healer? I mean, based off which version you play, there's many different classes. The only one I've successfully played only had 3 classes. So I'm, again, kind of talking out my butt, but any D&D, there's paladin, archer, mage, wizard, and there's sometimes a difference. And some of them break them down even further. So depending on how you want to play and how you want to experience the game, oh, eyelashes, you pick a class, a character sheet, a skill set. I'm already totally going off my notes, so fuck it. So you pick whatever you want based on how you want to play. I've always loved playing Barbarian. He's fun. And Hulk Smash, kind of stuff. Which unfortunately led to my untimely demise. We'll lead to. But so your consciousness, your real self, decides how you want to play, or what role you want to take. It's most like a big quest, almost. You pick a role, you don't really think of it being a quest, but it's again, a role you have to play. You can be the barbarian, and you can't, cast spells typically, depending on whatever version you're playing. But the typical rule is barbarians don't cast spells. They're warriors. They're, muscle. They don't typically have magic. Typically. And then you have, over here a wizard who can't even pick up a sword. Like, the rules prevent them from actually using a warrior sword. So it kind of locks in a role of how you want to play. Similarly, your esoteric, your 5D consciousness goes, okay, I want to pick this person. This is my mission. And let's see if I can explain this better. It's almost like you get, you know what, we'll cycle back. We'll cycle back to the, you forget. So your 5D consciousness, 6D, whatever, gets to see the whole picture. Because time is not linear like people think. So they, we, it, pronouns, gets to see the beginning and the end of the quest. It's like they look at a quest line and say, oh, this is how it starts, this is how it ends. I want to experience that. Let's do it. So you already get to see your level up character, the final maxed out character you get. Your life's purpose, your role, or your main story quest. And then he decides, or it, he in my specific lifetime, the consciousness decides, okay, I'm going to play this role. And then from there, they develop the character, they develop the avatar, they put all the numbers into their character sheet. You gotta wonder, in that aspect, some people say they're just born lucky. Maybe they really are. Luck is also a mindset, we're not gonna go into that, but that's why some people, you're just like, wow, they're just born charismatic, they're born, well, that's because you maxed out all the points on your character sheet. So why do we forget, though? Here's the thing. So after we select our character, we select our mission, we create the avatar, it gets birthed, and at that point of birth, your spirit goes into the body. And in that process, we go through I want to call it a firewall. It's actually called the Veil of Forgetfulness, or forgetting, something like that. I forgot what the name is. So, you go through this veil of forgetfulness, and you literally forget that you're a 5D being. You forget that you're a spirit, and you basically concrete or solidify yourself in the 3D world. Why? Well, it's the only way to truly experience it. Let's talk about video games. Or D&D. Some people really get into D&D like they do games. I didn't get that experience, but I know whenever I play video games, I get sucked in, especially if it's competitive. If it's competitive, I'm gone. I'm so focused on the fucking game. Nothing outside me matters. I don't even remember I'm Adam. It's one of those weird experiences where you snap back to consciousness and you're like, where the hell have I been for the past 3 hours? But that way you fully immerse in the game. You fully integrate. You sometimes even become that character. And that's when people tend to lose reality sometimes. Like World of Warcraft, it's a fun game. I play it from time to time. I haven't been able to play it in years, but I've got to experience it. I enjoy it. And I can tell you, for a couple of hours, I totally get sucked into the game. I forget, like I said. Anything outside of the game doesn't exist. We almost become the character. Well, you do that, so the experience is more, not just immersive, but legit. It's kind of the same word, but eh. Or else, it kind of feels like cheating if you don't. I know there's been some games where I play the game, and then I go back and I find cheats or hacks and stuff, and I essentially enact God mode, but it's not as much fun. I mean, sure, I get to go around and play a sandbox, but it dilutes the story. because I'm just so mega buff that it hollows out the experience, you know? I'm not bashing on anyone who plays like that, because I like it too. Like I said, if I beat the game, I go back and find different ways to play. But it does kind of ruin the experience, I'm not gonna lie. Because that's basically the whole hero's journey. That's the point of the game you play. You start at level 0, you work your way up, you do missions, that's literally the point of the game. So breaking the game, it's not as much fun. So now you forget who you are, what you are, and you go through journeys, possibly even lifetimes. I also believe in reincarnation, so kind of like D&D, you know. My first character died a horrible, gruesome death. Like I said, I was a barbarian, and after surviving a couple of experiences, I made a goofy mistake. We were exploring a dungeon, and I decided to kick open a door. Well, there were some bandits sitting behind the door, and they threw a Molotov and lit my ass up. He's dead. That character died. Just instantly. No res, no heal, dead. And some of our past lifetimes feel like that. Well, this part kind of blows, but it is what it is. So you start a life, a character, and you have a mission, a goal, something you're supposed to achieve in that lifetime. And if you don't, it tends to carry on to the next lifetime. Kind of sucks. That's where we get ancestral baggage. So if, like, for instance, my character never realized I'm just playing a character in a video game, I may just play the game as it is and do what I'm told, and never truly complete my mission. It's like playing a bunch of side quests and never getting back to the main story. So that character, you could argue that character's mission was successful. Maybe they weren't supposed to wake up. Maybe they were only supposed to exist. But then those life lessons carry on to the next character. Kind of like how I said my character got torched in D&D. Well, guess what? Even though that character's dead, I take that experience and I move it to the next character. Even if I'm playing a barbarian, I'm not kicking down any more doors. At least not in that particular dungeon. Or at least I'm gonna scout. I'm gonna do a crit roll chance, roll check or whatever, and see if there's anything. Use my barbarian senses, I don't know. Basically, you learn from the experience. You gain experience. That's why they call it experience. So, even if I don't remember my past lives, I still get the experience from the past lives. Because that gets attached, that information stays with the spirit, the soul, the consciousness. It remembers. That was the whole point. Comes down, experiences it, and comes back with the knowledge. Yeah, I'm already way off my notes here. And now we're gonna get off my high horse for a minute, get off the soapbox. So anything I talk about is first-hand experience. I'm not off living in some $3,000-$4,000 house, apartment, hotel, whatever you want to imagine as luxury. I'm not living a luxurious life, sitting here talking about concepts I don't know what I'm talking about. I am going through some hard times, as people know. I live in my car. I'm homeless. It's an experience. And another thing, I am, as we know, crippled, handicapped. Why am I bringing it up? Well, it kind of backtracks to we choose our avatar, we choose our missions. So it's been the hardest thing for me to accept is, why would we choose this hell? Why would I literally put myself through hell? I am born handicapped. For anyone who is handicapped understands how difficult it can be. It's put me through hell. I can't really phrase it any other way. I could sit here, whine and complain, but it's not easy, you know? So to think that I openly chose to be handicapped, to openly chose to be homeless, to choose to go through the crap I've been through. I can tell you, sitting here being like, yeah, I chose this, it's not making me feel any better. In fact, it almost kind of makes me angry at myself. A little bit. Not gonna lie. But, as I redundantly speak, it's for the experience. There were lessons I had to learn. On the flip side, sure, it sucks and it feels like I'm going through hell, because kind of am. But there's also a good side to everything. A silver lining, as they say. I learned many things from especially being disabled. Good and bad, of course. But one of the good things is early on, I had to learn a lot of problem-solving skills. Because my arms are not the same as most people, I had to learn how to function and move within this reality with a handicap, so to speak. And of course, it's difficult. You can imagine. You know. I mean, but I play video games. I get on my computer, I play on my computer. I even used to play guitar. It's not that I couldn't physically do it, I just lost interest at some point. But I can do most things most people can do. I drive. I can drive. In fact, I passed my driving test in 2 goes. Everyone fails their first time, normally. So, I've learned to function, and because of all of that, I've learned a skill that I carry in this lifetime is problem solving. How to think outside the box and learn with what I have, use what I have. Even if what I have may not be ideal. I basically, essentially, am being turned into MacGyver. It's kind of weird. And you go out there in life and you just feel some people just don't have problem solving skills. They can't figure it out. And it baffles me, to be honest. Because it's the life I've lived. But again, their character story is different. Like, for instance, I used to work at a fast food, Wendy's. And just one kid, whether she just didn't want to try or what the deal was, but the window's locked and it's literally locked with a bar. She sat there and just kept pulling on the window. And then got frustrated and pulled on the window. And just looked at me like it doesn't open. I literally just lifted up the bar to go, it's because it's locked. Like, okay. You know, okay. So it's pretty obvious. Sometimes people just don't go through the same experience. Not that they're bad or stupid. At the time, I thought she was, but that's just because that's my experience. I assumed everyone knew the same stuff, but that was my personal downfall. So because of that, we go through these specific experiences to gain the experience. And again, it doesn't justify anything. Saying these words doesn't make it softer. But when we come out on the other side, for instance, during that D&D session I was telling you about, before we even got to the dungeon, we got hijacked by a super high level monster that just found us in the woods. Killed half our party. And for those who survived, we gained experience. We leveled up. Actually, I actually leveled up after that one encounter. And for those who know D&D knows it's not that easy to level up. So I leveled up after one encounter because that's just how scary it was. So then we begin leveling up our character by going through these experiences. The me now, the Adam now, couldn't handle half this shit that's been going on. Like, even me from a year ago couldn't even conceive or possibly survive what I'm going through. And once I get out of this experience, however it happens, I'm gonna be a different person. In fact, it scared the shit out of my sister. I lived with her for a month and she didn't know who I was. And the essence of I was a completely different person from the people they remember in childhood. You know? I've changed so much. I've grown so much. I still got a crap ton of growing to do. He says begrudgingly. But after leveling up your character, for instance, like I just said, things that bothered me months ago barely even tickle my anger bone. I'm just gonna let that one go. I barely even get angry. Things that used to stress me out, I'm just like, whatever, dude. Why? It's because my capacity grows. Again, as you get stronger, you level up, your endurance becomes better, your intelligence, hopefully. Yeah, fuck you too, buddy. I don't even know what that was. It was just a truck or something. Didn't sound good. So, after going through these trials and tribulations, like again in the D&D game, you want to encounter monsters, you want to encounter creatures, or even side quests and do stuff like that to get the experience and help level up your character. So that when you go and fight, like the dungeon boss, you're strong as hell. You're not some level 1 parading around a dungeon that turns out to be level 7 or 8, you know. That's gonna kill you. It's gonna squish you flat. You get one bad hit and you're just done. But if you go and do some of these side quests or just get experience in general, then you're ready to tackle bigger and more challenging things. And again, no matter how much we sit here and fluff it up, it still sucks ass. It sucks. You go through shit and you get beat up and scratched and bruised, break some bones. I mean, let's use the anime, I forget what it's called, but it's the Frerin with the silver-haired elf girl. If you've watched it, this is not much of a spoiler if you haven't watched it. But there's a blue-haired hero, everyone reveres, everyone loves. Now, this didn't actually happen from the scene, but imagine that hero. You see him in his nice shiny armor. All looks beautiful and almost like a superstar, you know? He's got that charisma and that aura. But then say that hero goes to de-armor for the night, and you see his body is like 90% scars. Cuts here, wounds here, stabs there. Sorry, having an emotional moment. So, you see that, and then you're like, whoa, what the fuck happened? Well, those are all the battle scars, as they say. The emotional scars, the physical scars. All the crap you had to go through to get to where you are. He actually plays it off like he really enjoyed life, because he did. He was a really cool guy. This specific character I'm talking about. But they have stories. If you know, heroes have tons and tons of stories. You remember that time we got caught in that dungeon? Man, we barely got out alive. I thought I was dead for sure. That's a good 50-60% of their stories. Remember that other time we almost got out by the nick of our teeth, you know, the skin on our teeth? He's like, yep, that's how I got this big old gash. That was a fun time. And then you remember, and you just go on and on and on. I've always imagined the scars as a sign of weakness. But they're signs of what you survived. Of leveling up your character. Emotional scars, too. You're not broken. You've just survived a lot. So something else I want to talk about that's pretty important is intuition. Intuition is the innate ability everyone has, whether they believe it or not. That is the one thing you get to keep as your person. That's almost like the skill your spirit, your consciousness gets. And that's what helps you navigate your current self from your past lives. you can also level that thing up. It starts off as a gut feeling for some people. Some people start off at base 0, you know, it's a gut feeling. I feel weird, I feel like I shouldn't make this choice. It's like being a kid. And, you know, you make a choice, you fail a test or something, and you just get that pit in your stomach because you know you're about to get in trouble. That could be intuition, the gut feeling like maybe this isn't a good choice. If I do this, I'm gonna get in trouble, kind of thing. Well, sometimes we spend lifetimes ignoring this. We're told in a society that we shouldn't trust ourselves and put our trust in something else other than us. But the intuition, I'm going to call it the waypoint navigator, the internal compass, your quest guide, whatever you want to call it. That little compass on your map that goes this way, that way. Nope, the quest is this way. It helps you stay aligned to your true quest, your true goal, your missions. And that's pretty mystical, because we can't even explain it. Like I said, it remembers your past lifetimes. So it guides you based off of that. Most people spend a lifetime without even knowing what their true purpose is, without knowing why they're here. They just believe they're supposed to live every day and go about their days as they normally do. That's not always the case. You listen to your intuition. You know how you're in that dead-end job sometimes, like working in a cubicle, and you just get to a point you just can't do it. You can't do it anymore. You're like, this isn't for me. But I have to, you know. This is what I was told to do. This is what society says you're supposed to do. Get a typical 9-to-5 job and work in a cubicle. But your gut, you're like, no, this isn't right. I don't want to do this. I don't want to be here. This doesn't match with my purpose. But people ignore it because they're like, well, I need a paycheck. I need to live. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not bashing on people. I recently got a job, and I hate it. I'm not supposed to be there. It's not a job that's meant for me. It doesn't align with my purpose, but I do like eating, so it's important. But you can level up your intuition. It gets to the point. Mine's even gotten, and I know this sounds crazy, and it feels terrible opening up about it because I've already been judged a bunch about it. But sometimes it even levels up to a voice, my own voice in my head. I'm gonna make a choice, and it goes, "You sure you want to do that?" It's like, I don't know. Why? Well, it didn't really work out for you last time. It actually becomes an internal monologue. Kind of like Emperor's New Groove. For those who've seen that movie, there's a scene many times when Kronk, one of my favorite characters, he sitting there talking to people on his shoulder. There's the devil, there's the angel. And he's sitting there having an inner monologue with his two voices, himself and the two voices. And everyone else looking at him is just like, what the hell is he doing? Like, are you okay, dude? And he's sitting there having a mental struggle, a mental battle. It's like, well, if I do this, or if I do this, you know, that's the intuition. We like to portray it as the devil and the angel, but really, they're just facets of us. More or less. Not that you physically have a little devil on your shoulder. I mean, some people, maybe. I ain't gonna judge. But some people do, some people don't. We just identify it as our own thoughts, and it's all just kind of a jumbled mess, but if you tune out the noise, you can actually level up your intuition. That's how you grow and change from your experience. You learn from your experience, hopefully. You gain the experience, and then your intuition gets louder and goes, no. Remember? No. Remember this from last? No. It helps you change your decisions and make better or different choices. If not, you tend to just repeat the same mistakes, and people do. That's actually the biggest thing of being human. Is, as they say, history repeats itself, and we continue to make the same mistakes because we choose not to change our behavior. So that intuition kind of helps a little bit. It's that nudging feeling. It's like, oh, fine, this is not the right choice, or not the choice for my highest good. Obviously, you can choose whatever you want. You have free will. But if you want to level up and you want to grow, you have to make different choices from what experiences you've already seen. For instance, kicking in a door and getting set on fire. Not my finest moment. Was hilarious, though. Not gonna lie, that was fucking hilarious. I think they actually managed to save me. Or maybe the DM was being nice. And he said, oh, I just barely grazed you and lit you on fire, but you survived. We're just gonna make you down for a couple of days and you'll recuperate. At first, I think he was gonna torch my character, but I was a new player, so they're like, let's be nice to the newbie. And then the final thing I'm gonna talk on, unless you're an anime character like solo leveling, it doesn't matter how strong you get, you can't do this alone. Sometimes, oftentimes, you need help. You do. I mean, it feels great, our pride and our ego feels wonderful when you max out your character and then you go take a dungeon by yourself. Hey, that's great. But sometimes there's just things you just can't do alone. It requires a group effort. It requires assistance. And you often see it in many games, many places. It requires you to get a guild. Like World of Warcraft. Even if I'm a single player, single queue person, I want to go raid a dungeon, I have to queue up with randos. Just people. Or find my own guild. I don't even need this anymore. A good example of this is the YouTube show, The Guild. Go figure. It's a show with Felicia Day. I think it's only a YouTube special. Unless they started streaming it somewhere else. I don't know. It started on YouTube. And, it's about this character named Codex, who's in a virtual game, The Game, which is, I believe, a parody of WoW. And she has a guild. Well, it ends up they actually start meeting up and being friends and stuff like that. Spoiler alert, if you're gonna go watch the show. By the end of season 1, they've eventually become friends in the real life, more or less. And we're on this dinner. They were all out on dinner. Well, one of the characters' mom stalked him. She had one of those overbearing mom personalities because she lost her husband kind of thing, so put all that pressure on the son to a comedic, like they dramatized it really, really bad. Although I wouldn't be surprised if there are moms like this. But it's like she was bathing him all the way up until 16, 17, you know, kind of thing. So he was using the guild to get away from his mom. He was trying to escape her and grow as a person, become social, have friends, and get out of his mom's clutches. And she essentially got to the point, he ran away. He ran away and illegally moved into one of the characters' apartments. Well, he was trying to figure out how to live on his own, but his mom actually installed a tracking chip in him and followed him. So they were all at the dinner and the mom shows up. And she was like, I'm about to drag you back, you're done playing games, you're done talking to these people. And because that's all he's known, he didn't have the confidence, he didn't have the support to tell his mother no. So his guild... Why does this choke me up? His guild got together and said no. Stop. Leave him the fuck alone. And, of course, for most people who play D&D or even video games, there's always a well-balanced guild has multiple different classes. So there's a tank, there's a healer, there's a DPS, which is damage per second, the attacker, the warriors. I mean, you get various different people in the guild that complement each other. A healer, just like people with different personalities. You don't always want someone the same as you, that gets boring. You want friends that are diverse and different. Because it's different experiences. It's cool. It's fun. So, he was ready to succumb to his mom and they were about to leave. And the guild steps up and goes, no, stop it. One of them, ended up attacking the mother, being like, yo, lay the fuck off. The other one, the healer, was the emotional support, holding the kid like, yo, dude, it's okay, relax, we got this, providing emotional support. I mean, they each had their own role, and essentially they got the mom to shut the hell up and leave. And she did. And of course, the entire time they're making jokes like, oh no, final boss, you know, kind of like I was saying, they're treating life like the game. They're like, alright, tag in DPS, go! So, I really like the show, it's hilarious. It's also very dark, a lot darker than I remember. But it's pretty funny. So, the same concept. Getting a guild, getting friends, getting people you can connect with. It's all part of the experience, and you don't have to. Solo leveling, in fact, a lot of leveling you have to do by yourself. In the beginning of the game, I mean, it really depends on the kind of person you are if you want to find a guild off the bat. Sometimes rules and restrictions of the games say you can't until you hit a certain level. So essentially, I'm off here playing by myself, gaining experience, and learning how to be a person before I even go find other people to be with. I have to learn how to work as a group, work as myself first. Like, say, again, I'm a warrior. Well, I just picked up a sword, let's go figure out how to be a warrior. And then you do. And then you're like, okay, now we have to figure out how to be in a guild and work with other people. And you sit there and tell me life is not one giant game, I'd have to beg to differ. Is there anything else I wanted to talk about? This one ended up being a little shorter, maybe because I wasn't looping around. But it's all about experience, babies. That was weird. And that's something I personally discovered years ago. I want to experience everything. Good, bad. Again, it's so easy to say that when you're experiencing the bad. You're not sitting there again, yay, this is awesome. Because you also have to acknowledge sometimes things just suck. It's true, it sucks. It's hard, life sucks sometimes. I'm not going to sit here and feed you a bunch of toxic positivity. If you're sad, grieve. If you're having a hard time, admit you're having a hard time. That's when you have a guild. Friends to rely on, support systems. But, and I'm sure for those who have seen it, it also kind of relates to your age. You know, they make that joke constantly, being in your 20s and 30s is the part of the game where you're out of the tutorial mode and you're just kind of like, oh fuck, what do I do? You know, now the world is open, it's your oyster, what are you gonna do? Go roam around on a bunch of side quests till you find yourself? Or you know who you are and you go start your main mission kind of thing. It really depends on your playstyle. That's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm just like, still kind of figuring who I am. Learning how to function as Adam. I make it sound fun, but leveling up and healing is a lot harder than it sounds. Again, you have to have the resilience and the endurance to get through the experiences, or else your character gets lit on fire and torched and doesn't survive. That's why tutorials are apparently very important. I would always skip them. I was an impatient child, so I would skip right through the tutorials. But now as an adult, it's like, oh, maybe I should learn how to play the game so I don't die 20 times in the first 10 seconds. Okay. So don't beat yourself up, either, because whatever level you're at, it is what it is. You try your best, alright? Don't beat yourself up. Don't compare your character to other characters, either. That's so easy to say, but Your experiences are your own. Their experiences are theirs. I'm feeding most of this information back to myself. This is how I heal. This is how I grow in experience. Most of these lessons I give are also for me. Like I said, this is stuff coming straight from the horse's mouth. It's something I'm currently in. I don't have a guild. I don't have a support system. But up until recently, pretty recently, I don't even know if I'm there yet, but I've never learned how to be a person that could accept support, who could accept friends, you know? The only friends I've ever had were not so great. They ended up being bullies instead. So that's something I had to learn, is how to be open and receive support and make friends. 33 years old. I still can't make friends. Any of those where I'm beating myself up. So don't feel bad, just like I just got done saying. So what? That my age doesn't matter. It's the experiences we've gone through. Because a lot of people also don't realize what they say is practice makes perfect. It does not. Practice makes permanent. If you learn how to do something the wrong way, quote unquote wrong way, that's the only way you know how to do it. So like, if I learned how to make friends a specific way and it's not a good way or a positive manner, then I don't really have positive friends. So some of the experience, this does not translate to D&D, but most of the experience is actually unlearning what you already learned. That's also how you level up. It's not as simple as, oh, I went out and found somebody's lost dog and got some experience. No, it's experience in the sense of, wow, maybe I bombed my last relationship, or, you know, maybe I do stuff that drives people away, or something like that, and you have to learn from that experience. You're like, okay, well, shoot. Not that you need to fix yourself based on other people's opinions, but it's like, okay, I push people away. I do. I've been hurt a lot. Continue to get hurt. And my initial reaction is, alright, fuck everyone, I'm done. Push them away. But that prevents me from building my guild, my support system. So it's not just from the positive. In fact, like, the whole story's been negative experiences. And I don't even want to say negative, because it feels negative because it's undesirable. But again, they're just lessons to learn from. And I feel like such a hypocrite saying that, but so don't beat yourself up, is all I'm saying. So a quick recap. We're here to learn lessons, we're here to experience life, and that's basically the whole game. What's the point of a game? To play and have fun and learn the game and experience the game. You play it to experience, because you want to experience that story, the graphics, whatever drives you to the game. We're here to learn and experience it, and in experiencing it, you gain experience. I think that's it. I'm officially looping, so yeah, I think that's it. Now we just sit here and silently reflect on everything. In the next episode, next time on Dragon Ball Z, we're going to talk about the world, which I kind of wanted to do them both at once, but this has already taken 44 minutes. Because who you pick as a character, ironically, influences the world you get chosen into. A lot of people think it's just luck, or, again, luck of the draw, roll of the dice. It's not. It's based on the character you pick. That's the experience you see. So we'll get more into that in the next episode. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, I guess that's it. Tune in next week to see if Piccolo survives. Or as Jim Carrey likes to say in The Truman Show, in case I don't see you, good evening, good afternoon, and good night. I'm trying not to rip off that show, but that is such a good outro. Hahaha, rhyming. I'm gonna go now before I say something stupid.